thanks for coming on the show.
Thank
so
you
excited
for
to have you
having
here.
me. Yeah, me too.
I always really appreciate when people get dressed up for the pod.
Well, yeah, I was like, okay, it's a fashion show. I should probably not dress up as a scrub today.
You'd be surprised.
Really?
Some people don't really catch that memo.
Yeah.
Walk me through this outfit. This is fab.
Yeah, it's a little like schoolgirl-esque. I don't know. I was trying to find something fall related, but it's still so, it's like 80 degrees in LA
It's 1,000
today. And I'm
degrees
like,
here.
I want to dress for fall, but I can't quite, put on the jackets, put on the big sweaters yet. So this is my LA fall version.
It's so cute. I love the socks over the tights.
Yeah, I started doing that last year. I feel like I saw it all over Pinterest, and so I've got a little monochrome foot look and little cardigan. I think this is from Aritzia, but it's very cozy.
I'm a big Aritzia fan.
I know.
I'm
Their stuff
obsessed.
is so good. It really is. I can't even let myself go to the store in the mall anymore because I will just walk out with bags and bags.
I will not step foot there.
Yeah, their fall stuff is really cute right now too.
I wish you didn't tell me that.
It's really cute.
Your nails match your shoes perfectly. Like, what's going on
They
here?
do in the bag. I'm very coordinating today. I was trying to find a fall nail color. I have this sort of reddish maroon, which I haven't done before.
Are those gels?
These are hard gels. So this is my natural nail, actually. There's
Mine
no
too.
extension
Yeah.
or anything. I started doing Russian manicures maybe a year ago, and it changed my life.
Okay, so there's a lot of controversy around Russian manicure. I do them too. I'm obsessed with them.
They're so good.
My nails grow so long.
Yep.
I actually had to ask her to do that. Like, this is so nubby for me. Usually they're like yours.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think they're great. My one issue with it is that it takes so long. Like, it really is a 2 to 3 hour appointment. I have to go in with my Netflix loaded up or something to just pass the time. But they're so diligent with the cuticle and everything. And then I think the set that I had before this, because I was traveling and I refused to go get my nails done anywhere else, I go to Minx in Beverly Hills and they're great. I won't go anywhere else because I'm scared about them. When they're like drilling it and they like nip your nail. I'm so sensitive.
Sound, all that I hate.
Yeah, but they're so gentle. And so I was like, I'm not going to go, whatever. I think I pushed it to like 6 weeks. So when I was at Paris Fashion Week, my nails were so grown out. And I was like, no close-up shots of the hands.
It feels heavy when they're grown out. I
Yeah.
will say that. Like, when they're at like 6 weeks, which usually I try to do it every 4 weeks.
I was pushing it.
It hurts kind of.
Yeah,
like,
it
if
was
anyone
not-
touches my nails, I'm like, ugh.
You can't type. If you like
Nothing.
slam your fingers into something, it's so painful.
Nothing.
But I could not go anywhere else.
I think the drilling of the cuticle is what makes it controversial. People are like, it's not good for your nails. You're not supposed to drill the cuticle that far.
Interesting.
I
I think it's been great.
think it's been fine.
I was doing the Japanese Gel X before, but those are extensions on your nails, and I felt like my nails were getting really thin from it, even though they market it as being really healthy. So I was like, okay, I'll try the Russian manicure, and it's been so great.
So much better.
I'm like, I listened to people post about it for years, and I never bit the bullet on it, and now I'm so glad that I did.
Well, I like that they last a month, and you and I are always on the go. Like,
Yeah.
you're traveling all the time.
Yeah,
like, you
I
need
can't get
something
my nails
that
done every 2 weeks because
No.
in
Time
like
suck.
different countries, like they won't,
No.
it's
No.
difficult.
Absolutely not. Also, what is this red bag?
This is Coach.
Everyone is obsessed with these Coach bags right now. I'm
am.
seeing them everywhere.
Yeah, they're so good. Well, I just was obsessed with the runway that they did for fall last year with all the bag charms. They would double up like the huge bag with the mini bag on top of it. I thought they just styled it so well and like really made a comeback, and they make great bags, and they're sort of at that mid price point where you're not dropping $4,000 on a bag, but you can have a really like great tote or work tote. This has been kind of my go-to fall bag, like little maroon color, and then I wore them at US Open this year, and they have these little New York specific charms, so I got
cute.
a big taxi cab charm and put it on my navy bag, and it was kind of a little ode to the city for the tournament.
I've been seeing the bag layering everywhere, and I feel like, I don't know who started it, maybe they did, but I was at the Hermes show in Paris, and so extreme, but I saw girls with a big Birkin layered with a smaller one and a smaller keychain on top. I just feel like we're in the era of the Russian dolling of bags.
Yeah, no, it's so
cute.
I think it was either Miu Miu or Coach. I think were probably the OG. At least that's what really sort of blew up that bag layering. Miu Miu has that little tiny ones that you can hook onto yours, and I'm a big fan of it.
I don't know. I can't do the small bags anymore.
I
the
can't
shape
either.
that you have, which is a perfect kind of a hobo over the shoulder bag. I just have too much to do in a day, and I like to have a bag where I have an external charger. I have all the makeup I could need for a touch-up. Like, I want something that can carry for my day.
Yeah.
I have one mini bag. It's like a Fendi from forever ago, and it fits around my wrist, and it fits maybe a lip gloss.
Yeah, I can't do that. If it doesn't fit my phone, that's an absolute no. But now, well, I do YouTube too, so I always have my vlog camera with me, and I have it's called a Sony EV10, and it's a decent sized camera, and I always have a big lens on it. So now I only allow myself to buy what I call my Mary Poppins bags, where I can fit everything in it.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that era's over.
Yeah.
I just need more things.
Yeah,
it's cute as a charm now, though. We can use it
yeah.
as that. I am always curious, especially like seeing what you're wearing now, how you got dressed this morning. Like, did you walk into your closet and you were like, I want to start with that red bag?
Yeah.
Or was it like a feeling? Like, how do you start?
Well, this morning specifically, I am a big Pinterest girly. So I have a board on Pinterest called like fall outfits or something, and I'll just scroll through that and try to find inspo of like layering and stuff. So I saw one that was a little sort of pleated skirt and a cardigan. I was like, oh, that's cute. And then I kind of just replicate it in a different way. So that's usually, I get a lot of inspo from Pinterest, and I'm at the point where unfortunately I have so many clothes, and I'm sure you can understand this, that I get really severe sort of decision fatigue about what I'm going to wear, because there's just like an overwhelm of options. So usually I'll find some inspo on Pinterest and then be like, okay, I definitely have something similar to that. And that's how I kind of put together my looks.
So Pinterest is a very rare breed. I've had so many episodes and asked so many different women how they get dressed every day, and there's only a few who still say that they're using Pinterest. And I want to know, because I love Pinterest. I have not been able to like have it be my center point. I think I'm still looking on Instagram. But what I really like about Pinterest is it's not so current, whereas like I feel like if you're on Instagram and you're looking for inspiration, you're looking through like a lot of like current trends and what people are wearing right now, whereas with Pinterest I feel like there's a bit of like vintage inspiration. The pool's a bit bigger in my opinion.
A lot of my boards have like Ralph Lauren 90s ads, that sort of thing. So you can, there's so much. I mean, Instagram is very current, so that's where, you know, if you want a super trendy outfit, of course go on your explore page there. But Pinterest, you can find like archival looks, runway, old ads from like the 80s and 90s are one of my favorite places to kind of look for inspo. So how do you start? Do you just go in there and say like preppy outfit, or like what are the keywords that you're searching to be able to like expand on your Pinterest board? I think well, for this board specifically, I just type in like fall outfit, or if I have a certain piece that I want to wear, like for example, I just bought these like kind of sheer baby blue tights. Cute. And super cute, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how to put an outfit with this, so then I just type in like baby blue tight outfit, and then it'll give me a bunch of options, or like colored tight outfits, and then I'll find one that has like pink tights and see how this girl styled that and kind of pull inspo from that. So it's really helpful if you have a piece that you're super excited and you're like, I don't really know how to style this in the right way. You just type it in and so many options will come up. Okay, that's a really brave style of dressing, because usually you have people who are like, I will see an image and I'll get inspiration from it and be like, okay, I want a red bag. I'm going to go get that red bag. But you are buying the blue tight before you even see the inspiration. So you're like, oh, I can do that. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'll figure it out. Yeah. It's also really helpful a lot of times if I buy a piece like that, like a baby blue tights, or I just bought this like cow print jacket. And when I purchase it, I take a screenshot of the model in like the image where I bought it from, because I feel like a lot of times I buy pieces and then I have it and I'm like, oh, I'm not like, why did I buy this? I'm not sure how I even would style this. But if I have that image saved from when I purchased it and how like the model styled it on the website, then I sort of remind myself like, oh yeah, that's why I bought it. That's smart. Yeah. That's a good way of like indexing what's in your closet. You were just saying that like your closet, you have so much going on in there. Like, yes, how are you? I mean, how is it organized? I'm very type A. Okay. Everything's color coded. You know, the jeans are hung up in the TikTok jean hack with the baby hangers. So I keep it, you know, it's organized chaos for sure. It's just, you know, when we work in this sort of position, you get so much PR and you get so much gifting, and you know, you're buying clothes for certain events and that sort of thing. So I need to do a deep closet clean out. Best thing in the world. I'm overly passionate about a closet clean out. I need to do it so desperately. It's just because I travel so much, when I'm home I'm like, oh, you don't want to touch it. Last thing that I want to do right now. I'm sure, because when you get home from a trip after you've unpacked, you're like, I don't want to touch anything. Don't touch it. Yeah.
So what's your ethos then when you're getting dressed for a tennis match?
So I've always been someone who likes to dress up. I was the girl in high school who wore like heels and booties to, my little suburban high school in Minnesota. So when I started traveling on the tour, it wasn't really like common for partners to dress up in the way that I think a lot do now for matches. But it was just after COVID, no one had really had a reason to dress up in anything besides loungewear, sweats and stuff, except I was going to these matches and I was like, oh, finally I get to dress up for something, because we'd been in lockdown for so long. And so, yeah, I just started wearing my usual, I like dresses and skirts, and it's really fun because we travel to so many different places that have so many different styles. So the way that I dress for a tournament in Australia is really different than the way I'll dress for a match in Japan or in Paris or something. And it's really fun to kind of, look at the places that I'm going to and kind of base my outfits around, what the vibe of the city is, or what the vibe of the tournament is.
I mean, shout out to the girls who overdressed when they were younger, because that was me.
Builds character.
It really does build character, because you would think people would be like, oh, you look so great. But people would always be like, why are you dressed like that?
Yeah.
It was
terrible. Like, why aren't you?
Yeah, no, it's literally like, why aren't you? I would always get like, oh, those earrings are a little crazy, or like, you're wearing those shoes. Like, and I now to this day, anytime someone says to me, like, oh, I feel a little overdressed, I'm like,
that is a social construct created by people who want you to fail.
And want to wear just PJs and don't want to look good themselves. Yeah. I always want to be, I'd rather be overdressed than underdressed.
Yeah, for sure. That's an extension of your personality too. And I think, dressing up just makes the experience of anything a little bit more fun. Look good, feel good.
You're obviously in these like really big moments where you're on screen, you're in front of so many people. Mm-hmm. Are all of these outfits planned by you, or are you using a stylist?
Oh, a mix. So I did start working with a stylist last year. Actually, like, funny story how it kind of came about. So her name's Emily Essen. She actually now works under Jared Elner on his team.
We love Jared here.
Yeah,
we talk about him all the time. He's the best.
She's learning from the best. And her and I grew up together in Minnesota, so I've known her since we were like preteens.
Oh my God, small world.
Yeah, I know, right? So last summer I was in New York for US Open, and we were catching up at dinner one night, and she had run a clothing brand for a while, like out of her apartment in New York. She's like, yeah, I just wanted to do something different. So I actually just got this like styling assistant job under Jared Elner, and she was telling me all about that and how, he styles Emma Chamberlain, all these amazing people. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. It was a new thing for her. And she was like, yeah, what's up with you? And I was like, oh, I have this. And then I have a cover shoot for the New York Times style section on Friday. And she was like, oh my gosh, what are you wearing? And I was like, I don't know. And she was like, you're doing a cover for the style section? You don't know what you're wearing? And I'm like, no, I got a lot going on. She was like, okay, we'll take care of it. So her very first solo styling job was for the style section of the New York Times. And since then, that was like a year ago. She's been working with him ever since, and her and I have been working together ever since. And so it's been really cool to grow and learn together. And, she's done all sorts of amazing things. She handmade the lingerie set on Sabrina Carpenter's new album.
Oh my God.
She knows how to sew, she knows how to design, she's so talented. And I think because we grew up together, like, she knows me so well, my style, she knows my body. So it's a really amazing partnership for both of us.
I think it's crucial to have people around you that just like make you feel like home, especially in those like high pressure settings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been so great to work together. And I like naively, before her and I started working together, people would ask me once I kind of started posting fashion content, like, oh, like, do you have a stylist? Are you going to get a stylist? And I was like, stylist? Like, what? I have great style. Why would I need a stylist? I didn't really understand the value in working with one. And now I'm like, oh my God, I could not live without one. It's so helpful in the connections they have. And just like, it's hard to stay on the pulse of like what's in and what designers you should work with and like what's a really good brand fit for you. And so I've learned so much from her, and I've just like, she's elevated me and my business and my personal style so much. It's been amazing.
I think there's a huge value in working with a stylist, no matter where you fall in line. Mm-hmm. I've been in fashion for 10 years and I got married this summer, and I used a stylist for the wedding. Yeah. And I had so many friends and peers be like, you have such great style. Why did you bring someone else in? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I had such a deep desire to have another brain in the room that was like challenging me and keeping me curious and like not keeping me in my same regimen of what I was wearing every day. And it was, I keep making the joke, it was like the second marriage besides the marriage to my husband. It was like the greatest experience ever. Like I wore everything I ever wanted and I felt so good. And I was, I feel like since then, my style has changed so much. I learned so much from him.
Yeah, me too.
And I think like no matter what you're doing or like what your expertise is, like there's always room to grow. And that was like the best experience. So I totally relate to what you're saying. I get it. And you do have great style on your own, but like it's probably so nice to just have that extra push.
Yeah, and they have such a different eye. Like sometimes she's put me in things where I'm like, I would never choose this for myself, and then I put it on, I'm like, wait,
that's the best.
Yeah.
Like there's actually nothing better than that feeling of being like, that is so not for me, I'm not doing that. And they're like, just put it on, let's style it, and then you're like, oh, I look really good.
Yeah. No, it's really good.
The best. I feel like as someone in fashion, I've gotten so much inspiration from spectators in tennis. Like there are so many like iconic moments that I can think of like Kate Middleton at Wimbledon. Like I think about all those incredible moments that are kind of ingrained into like my fashion encyclopedia. Are there any icons for you that you think about often, or like as you're getting ready to get dressed, you're like, ooh, I want to feel that?
Yeah. Like you said, it kind of depends where I am. Obviously for Wimbledon, like Kate and Diana, you know, I think Diana went to like 15 Wimbledons or something. So there's a archive of all of her looks from there. Yeah, kind of like staying in the more sort of, you know, classy old money sort of for that tournament specifically at least. But yeah, it really depends because there's so many other tournaments too that are not necessarily big fashion moments the way that Wimbledon is. But I do want to dress for like the ethos of the tournament. So Australian Open, you know, dressing like super summery, sort of beachy because it's the start of summer in Australia in January. And, you know, working with Australian brands and really trying to find the right vibe of where I'm at. Other style inspirations, I don't know. Those would probably be my top two. I don't know if there's necessarily like one person that I look to because I feel like my style varies so much throughout the year depending on where I am.
I love seeing the videos of you being like, here's what everyone wore at X tournament.
Yeah, and they're so fun to make too.
The fashion there is so, like, at any tournament. I feel like I've been to the Open. I haven't been to Wimbledon. I'd love to go, but I'm always like so tuned into what people are wearing. It's really become its own kind of like runway in and of itself.
Yeah, 100%. It's grown so, I mean, even a couple years ago when I first started going to tournaments, it was not like that. Like it was not, you know, people, and still there's so many people that show up in a t-shirt and shorts because they are just going to watch the tennis, which is,
they're there for their own thing.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, the way that like, you know, girls around our age show up for events, and it's so great because like I mentioned earlier, I think that dressing up for something just makes the experience so much more fun. And, you know, you go and it's like a fun day with your girls and you go and you have champagne and you get to dress up and you take cute photos. And it's just exploded over the last couple of years. Even the difference between like the first US Open that I went to versus this year, the way that the fans dress up has been so cool to see because obviously that's like what I'm all about. And yeah, I just love it. I'm glad that people are really sort of embracing the tennis fashion.
As a fashion lover, I very much appreciate your work and love what you do for the sport of tennis.
Thank you.
But I'm curious what you think like that is. Like that's such a stark difference. And I think when I first started like hearing more about you and like seeing your content, it was all really about this idea of like making tennis cool again.
Yep.
And I lived in New York for 10 years. So the US Open was always a big moment for New Yorkers. Everyone was so excited about it. And obviously now there are so many like brand partnerships that happen.
Yep.
The Honeydeuce is a big thing. It really is a cultural moment now.
Yep.
What do you think that big shift has been in just this like major surge of people loving tennis and really showing up for it in a new way?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that have contributed to that. One, around COVID, there was kind of this moment where when you opened Instagram, there was always like girls on a tennis court Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was like 2021, like taking like the Instagram photos on a tennis court was like the big thing. And then every athleisure brand, Alo and Beyond Yoga and Athleta, they all released tennis lines that hadn't existed before.
I picked up tennis during COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're making such a good correlation
a lot
here.
Of people
yeah.
did.
Wow.
Because it was a social distancing way to hang out with people, and you're outdoors, you're not touching each other, and you're on opposite sides of the net. So I think it really sort of like blossomed in COVID, and then pickleball grew. So just like the aura of racket sports was growing. And I think all of these brands releasing like tennis apparel that, you know, you can go and play on a court, but you also can dress really cute to go to the grocery store, go on errands in, grew it a lot. And then the luxury brands started getting into it, Miu Miu and Gucci and like Lacoste, Ralph Lauren. I mean, those two have always sort of been in the tennis space, but they all sort of, you know, started leaning into this tennis core, old money, sort of preppy vibe. And then now there's a few girls who post about, you know, tennis and life on the tennis tour and fashion. And yeah, it's made it kind of a moment and a lot more friendly for girls to get involved in and have fun at.
I feel like it's gotten more accessible.
Yeah.
I feel like before, I mean, it's always been like a very like elite kind of exclusive sport.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've seen it way more than I ever have.
Yeah. And there's also kind of this new surgence of young players as well that are really great. You know, Sinner Alcaraz, my boyfriend Taylor, you know, Coco Gauff on the women's side, like just a lot of American players too that are rising in the rankings, which I think gets the country a little more excited about, you know, rooting for their people, because there hasn't really been top American tennis players in a long time.
I love it.
Yeah.
I also saw you were at Sunset Tennis Club the other day.
I was, yeah. I take lessons with Casper.
I take lessons with Casper too.
He's great.
It's been a while. I haven't done it in a long time.
We should do a lesson together.
I'm so bad, and I'm sure you're really good.
I'm not. Nope. I would not say that I'm good. I've gotten better. Like, I can get the ball over the net now. I think the only thing that I really have to work on is my serve. I can't serve.
Okay.
But it's fun.
I feel like we could do it.
It's a fun hangout.
It is a fun hang. I need an outdoor sport. Like, I need an activity.
Yeah, it's
I go
such
to
a
the
good
gym.
workout too.
Yeah, I like the idea of being outside.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take you up on that.
Okay. Yeah.
But a lot of people ask me about it in LA, and I love it. It's like, again, people are very interested in tennis, and like I'm always recommending it. I'm like, it's a great thing. But
yeah, there's so many courts here too. So.
I can't tell you how many people ask me about it. But I also think it's because people in LA want to find new ways to meet new people.
Yeah, and it's not drinks.
It's
which is really
drinks.
nice. Like, it's really nice to, you know, reach out to girlfriends and like go get coffee, and then you play tennis together, and you don't really play tennis. You kind of just chat at the net, but you're like playing tennis
and you're playing
together.
and you're outside, and it's like a nice vibe.
Yeah.
I think people in LA are really looking for like
Hobbies
and community moments that don't just revolve around like, let's go grab a drink.
Yes, I agree. Hobbies are good. I've been trying to find more hobbies, but I think that's a really good starting point.
What else?
Like going on a hike together.
I can't hike, but yes.
My grandma just sent me. She taught herself how to do watercolor a couple years ago, and now she's like an incredibly talented watercolor painter. And I had gotten kind of like a watercolor starting kit, and I would just, when I'm home, I just drive down to the beach and like do my little like watercolor coloring book. But she sent me all of her like watercolor tools that she uses, and sent me like all these instructions of like, okay, you have to use this, or the little kneading erasers and stuff. So I'm trying to teach myself watercolor right now. That's maybe a new hobby. Also cooking. I don't know if you can count that as a hobby or a human necessity, but I never cook. Yeah. So I'm trying to learn cooking. When I'm traveling, I've done a few cooking classes. Like I did one in Rome where we
I'm sure that's the best part.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. Airbnb experiences. And then there's a website called Get Your Guide that has so many different, like, they have free walking tours, they have cooking classes, painting classes. You can find anything on them. So
wow.
Yeah, it's a fun way to also do something different while you're traveling too. Like you kind of do these little hobbies while you're traveling besides just sightseeing and shopping.
You're gone like 30 weeks a year. How do you pack?
Not minimally. So like when people ask me for packing advice, I'm like, listen, I'm like a 270-pound overweight checked bag kind of gal. Yeah, not a minimalist packer, but it's hard too because a lot of times when I'm traveling, I have to shoot different clothes for brands, or I have to pack like all the skincare for a brand deal I have to do, or shoes or something. And I just can't like minimally pack. And a lot of times I'm on the road for the next trip I'm going on is a month in Europe. Wow. So I'm like, I got to bring I have to bring all the jackets and the sweaters and the boots. And so much of my content is about my outfits. So like the capsule wardrobe thing is not for me.
It's just not the thing.
It's not for me.
Yeah. I just went to for Paris Fashion Week and I took a carry-on and
just a carry-on.
It was great in theory.
I guess you're getting dressed by the brands. Anyways,
I did get dressed and I did a lot of my brand deals. Like I had them send them to my hotel in Paris.
Nice, yeah.
But it definitely was. I feel like in theory it's great if you're going on like a chill trip and like you just need like bathing suits or whatever. Yeah. But it added this whole other layer of stress because I was like, I need my stuff and I don't have my stuff. Yeah. And like if I bought anything there, I like couldn't fit it in the suitcase to go home.
That was another learning curve for me is when I first started traveling, I would try to pack a little more minimally. And then I always found myself, you know, I'm there for weeks or a month at a time. And I'd be like, oh, I really missed this one skincare product or I wish I would have packed that. And then I end up going to Sephora and buying it. And so now I bring everything. I bring the full size of everything. So I don't have to I don't run out of anything and have to go buy it. So that's been my solution. But in terms of like outfits for it, I plan all my outfits ahead of time. So I make sure that I don't bring one item that's not going to be utilized in some sort of way. I like try on all the outfits, take a photo in them. I have a TikTok on my page that's pinned that has like my very ridiculous 6-hour packing routine. But
the Polly Pocket thing.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Love. I feel like you've literally been all over the world. Mm-hmm. Is there a store or like a shopping destination that you've hit that like will never leave your brain?
Oh, my absolute favorite places to shop are Australia. Australia, because when you go to a mall in the US, you've got Zara, you've got Aritzia, you've got the Nordstrom, and what are the other ones that you go see? H&M,
Bloomingdale's.
Yeah, you know, like you've got kind of like your standard places. No matter where you go in the US, like those are the spots at the mall. When you go to a mall in Australia, the in-person shopping there is next level because they have all the Australian brands, like for summer especially, they have all these little like boutiques and labels and Beckenbridge and Victoria Woods and like so many brands that have standalone stores. So you can go into a mall and just find so many different options, so many different brands, like all the little labels there, and the clothes are absolutely amazing. So when I go to Australia, I go with an empty suitcase because I know I will shop, and I love everything that they have, especially for summer. So I think Australia is really great. And then Tokyo is my second favorite place. One, because the vintage designer there, they have some stores like Amore Vintage. I'm sure you've seen just like really cool vintage bags or, secondhand designer. There's lots of sort of smaller vintage shops there too, where you can find really cool stuff. I just got this watch there when I was there a couple weeks ago.
Oh, stunning.
Thank you.
Is that two-tone?
Yeah, it is.
Gorgeous.
So it's I was wanting a watch for a while. I was like, okay, I'm gonna
get a really AP, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a little vintage watch. So there's one store there called Shelter that I always have a lot of luck at for clothes, and they also, the way that they layer, and I feel like they're just ahead of the times. Like I love the shopping in Asia.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I need to add that to my list. I'm supposed to go to Tokyo next year. I hope that I make it.
Have you been before or no?
No.
I'll send you. I have a whole list of recommendations.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I've been there I think like 3 or 4 times now, and it's the coolest place ever.
I can't wait. Also, you said an Australian brand that I'm obsessed with and I feel like doesn't get the love, Beckenbridge.
Yeah, so cute.
Like it's just every time, I feel like when it first came out, I was like, okay, this is fine. Mm-hmm. And then in the past year, I've gone on there and the dresses, like if you have a wedding coming up or anything like that, it's really cute.
Yeah, I honestly don't think anyone should shop for summer clothes anywhere besides Australian brands. Like
so good.
Beckenbridge, Victoria Woods, Venroy, Dish, Kukai, like they just do summer clothes right there.
They know what they're doing over there.
They do.
Dish is so good.
Yeah.
People are always like, do I really buy Dish? Like I see the ads for it. It can't just be $120. And I'm like,
a lot of stuff from Dish. Their jeans are really cute too.
I don't know what sorcery they're doing over there for like making everything so inexpensive, but the clothes are so good.
Yeah, it's cheap there too. Like the conversion rate for the Australian dollar for US is awesome.
Noted. Thrilled. I was watching your YouTube channel the other day and there was something you said that really stuck with me that I loved. And I think it's this kind of ethos that you bring to the table of a really just wonderful curiosity. Like it's the way that you've like talked about tennis and the way that you've like been so open to learning about it. I know that when you first started dating Taylor, you didn't know a lot about tennis. And you also talked about the fact that you recently deleted Twitter, X, whatever we want to call it.
Yes.
Because it was like too overwhelming for you, but you did make a new account and only followed fashion accounts or things that were giving you fashion news.
Yep.
And I know that the industry is still relatively new to you and you're like starting to work with amazing brands and it's really exciting, but it's really rare to kind of come across that genuine curiosity that isn't very like open and vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I'm curious what has been, especially with like the accounts you're following on X and like, you know, even on Instagram, like what has been most informative and interesting to you as you've begun to learn more about fashion?
Oh my gosh, just finding out like I think actually working with Emily, my stylist, has been so great because the things that you learn when you're like on the ground or like at the shows, or the things that I learned from her of like, okay, this brand works with this kind of people and like this brand only likes this. And like, you know, there's so many things that if you Google that, you're not going to find a thing. You have to be in it to know that sort of thing. So it's been really interesting. And of course I found so much information through like podcasts and X, but I really think the best way to learn is to like put yourself in there. But yeah, there's, I think like the fashion commentary on X, and obviously any sort of social media you have, the algorithm will sort of curate. So I started following some fashion accounts, and now when I scroll through my feed, my For You page, what do you call it on X? Twitter, whatever. My feed? Yeah, my feed on X.
I still call it Twitter.
Yeah, it's like
I'll never call it X.
I know. Yeah. I like it because it's so real-time live of like people like commentating and like everyone's watching the live shows, and some of the accounts that I follow will just post like the Vogue runway images from it. So it's a kind of a good, easy way for me to stay updated and like what's happening on a day-to-day. And there's lots of discourse about sustainability and like, oh, like we really like this brand, or this brand has controversy, or that sort of thing. So it's been really helpful to learn through that. And like where I grew up was nobody owned designer where I grew up. Like, you know, the girls were not coming to high school with their never full bags. We had like JanSport backpacks. Like Minnesota is not necessarily, you know, the kind of place where like I grew up around fashion and like designers and that sort of thing. So when I moved out I went to college in New York and I kind of got a taste of it. I did some like internships in fashion PR, and then moving out to LA, you know, you are around that a lot more. But it was really like a year ago, I went to my first New York Fashion Week and I was like, whoa, I don't know shit about any of this. Like, this is all so new to me. I didn't know a lot of designer names. I didn't know what the brands were about. I didn't know the history of them. So it's kind of been a hobby in a way too, to learn about those things. And I was like learning new stuff. So it's been really fun to know more about it. And I'm still very not knowledgeable in a lot of ways, but it's cool to not know stuff too.
I have deep respect and admiration for the people who are like fashion historians and know everything about everything and can spot a dress and be like, that is referencing this collection from 1999, and that seam and that stitch is exactly this.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
It's an unbelievable skill, and I'm always very like almost envious. I'm like, oh my God, what a gift you have. But I think X is very underrated as a platform for fashion. I don't think a lot of people immediately go there, but there are so many accounts that I follow that are really great with context. Again, as you were saying, really good with creating great dialogue around fashion moments. I think Instagram can be very reactive, a lot of kind of debate and emotion, whereas I think X can be quite thoughtful in the discourse. There's so much on there to learn.
Yeah, I think it's good too. And I also think like the difference with like TikTok fashion commentary, a lot of it is like shock value or having really strong opinions about things. And a lot of the stuff on X is more informational, or like, you know, this is not to go viral. It's just like, hey, look at what this designer did, or look at this trend that's happening. And I appreciate the lack of drama on there.
You know, we just don't always need drama when it comes to fashion things. Do you feel like since being in more of a sports world that your style has gotten more athleisure based? How do you feel like tennis has influenced your style? Because it's amazing to hear you talk about two totally different worlds here. You're talking like in the high fashion space and then also in the tennis space. And I do think there's a world where they overlap, but like how is that impacting you?
I think they're very intertwined now. And I have recently heard that like there's some more like big fashion brands that are about to get heavily involved in tennis, which is super exciting. Maybe in ways that like the influence of the places that I've gone to, for sure. You know, I just have like a broader view. I think that I definitely, well, also a lot of it's been with aging. Like I started traveling on tour when I was 22. I'm 27 now. So, you know, obviously when I was 22, I'm like Princess Polly, White Fox, you know, that how a 22-year-old in LA would dress.
We all grow up.
Yeah, so that's definitely changed. I think I dress much more modest now. A lot of that is kind of the tennis influence, I think. But yeah, just being able to like shop around the world and discover these different UK-based brands, or I'd never worn Australian brands until I was traveling to Australia for Australian Open. So in that sort of sense, it has influenced a lot, but I've also very much stayed true to like my personal style. And like I love dressing super girly. I love dressing in long dresses and pink and fun patterns and colors. So I've kind of also like carried my own style into the world of it, I think.
Do you think tennis is more influential in fashion than it's ever been?
I think it's always been really influential in fashion, actually.
Definitely.
I think the big on-court moments that like Serena Williams had, or Andre Agassi was like, you know, he had a look on the tennis court, and Federer always would come out in these like sweater vests, and Nike would make custom looks for him. So I think it's always been really prevalent in the sport for the players. And now I think it's stretched more into spectator fashion in the last couple of years is like really where it's grown. But I think like tennis and fashion on the court has always been a big thing. So it's just cool that it's kind of like expanded beyond the court a little bit more. That's so good for the personal brands of all of those 100%. People too. I think the Williams sisters really are the ones who kind of like set a precedent for that and making that a thing in the sport. And yeah, there's a few players right now who focus on their on-court and off-court fashion. But I do hope more players sort of lean into that. And I think as the sport grows and more brands are interested in players like on-court, off-court fashion, that, you know, that'll kind of like open the doors to more players to work with brands as well. There's an account on Instagram called, it's at WNBA Tunnel.
No, but I'll follow it now.
Yeah, you should. It's I connected with the gal who runs it, and she started posting the WNBA girls' outfits, and a lot of them work with big brands. And, you know, WNBA had this insane growth this year, just insane. Like every ESPN post was about WNBA. And so this girl started this account that was WNBA Tunnel, where she posts all of the walk-in tunnel outfits that the girls are wearing, and the account just blew up. So like it's so clear that people want more of that, because those sort of accounts and those sort of moments, like people are just fascinated by. And it's nice that more people are leaning into it. My hope is that more sports, like the sports establishments themselves and the teams and the sports media, caters a little bit more to that audience, because obviously like the interest is there. 50% of tennis fans, F1 fans, and football fans are all women. So there's so much in the market, because, you know, women, of course, we like the sport, we want to watch the sport, but we want to see everything else. So we want to see the travel, we want to see the fashion, we want to see everything that sort of comes along with the actual sport itself. And seeing more and more people and accounts and media lean into that has been awesome, and I think is much needed.
Okay, I want to do a little lightning round with you before we close out the show. Explain tennis to a novice in one sentence. Very stressful and confusing sport. I actually don't know. It's 15, 30, 45? 40 love?
Love. Yeah. Love is 0. Love means nothing.
Still lost.
Yeah. It took me about 6 months on the tour, traveling full time on the tour, to like understand what the hell was happening. So
what is your biggest fashion ick?
I don't know if I have one.
I
think fashion is so personal and subjective. Like I'm not a fan of those videos that are like, these are the fashion trends that I hate or are going to be out, because it's such an individual thing, and to each their own.
I heard you're a hotel robe aficionado. Who has the best hotel robes?
The Edition. They have the big the big hood and the inside is fuzzy and soft. Every time I stay there, I think about taking one and I'm like, just charge me, but I'd never have suitcase space.
Favorite pair of white sneakers?
I have the New Balance 530s, and I've been wearing those pretty consistently. For working out, APL by far.
What's your favorite fashion trend right now?
I don't know if this is quite a trend yet, but at the Miu Miu show, did you see the little belt arm garters? Mm-hmm. I love the way that Miu Miu prioritizes accessories outside of just like bags and shoes. So yeah, a lot of the models I noticed, and I was so annoyed because my stylist Emily, who's a genius and who is ahead of the time on everything, had sent me a photo of Kylie the day before with the belt as on her arm as like a little arm garter. She was like, you should try to do this for the show. And I was like, I don't have a belt that small. They're so tiny. And then when I sat down for the show and I saw the models walk by with the belt on their arm, I was like, shit, I should have done that. But I did not. But I think that was really cool. I like the arm accessorizing.
Fashion bucket list item?
I really want to go to a Shanghai Fashion Week. I feel like those fashion weeks are glazed over in the world of fashion a lot. But actually through X is how I discovered the incredible designers at that fashion week. And I just think Asia is like a little more ahead in a lot of ways. And some of the designers are absolutely incredible. So
favorite tennis player?
Taylor Fritz.
Duh.
I can't say anything else.
Thank you for coming on the show. This was fun.
Thank you.
I really, really appreciate hearing your perspective on fashion. It's very refreshing.
Thank you.
It's so exciting to see how excited you are about getting to know it better and also be able to honor the sport and then also honor the industry. It's very refreshing and very fun to hear.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This is so fun.